I feel violated, victimized. I've spent the last 48 hours processing what the heck happened the past 2 weeks. This is going to be a story time on everything that happened during the cadaver dog search for my missing daughter. I'm going to give you all a rundown of everything as it happened, and then I have to stop talking about it and move on. For those of you who are new here and you don't know, my daughter, Layla, vanished 15 months ago when she was 20 years old. I've spent the last 15 months on social media bringing awareness to her case, pleading for support and funding for search efforts to find her. Several months ago, I met a wonderful woman named Kirsten. Kirsten is a medium and a remote viewer. I understand that some of you have your feelings about that, and I respect those feelings and beliefs. But my daughter is missing. I am desperate, and I have to remain open-minded to all possibilities when it comes to finding her. We had done a lot of searching in the spring and early summer, and it just got to a point where it felt like we were beating our heads against a wall. None of us are trained professionals. We don't really have any idea what we're doing out there in those woods. And it's been so long that it would be hard to tell, if she's been buried or hidden. And Kirsten agreed that we needed cadaver dogs. If we were going to do this thing, we needed cadaver dogs. So we started on a journey of trying to find someone who'd be willing to help us. And every single time it was either they would say they were going to do it and then we would never hear from them, or they had to be called out by law enforcement. There's so many strings that go along with these things. These types of trained individuals are not prone to just jump and go help a family. And I understand why, because there's so much drama and bullshit and scammery that surrounds situations like mine, and that's a friggin' shame. I hadn't talked to Kirsten in a few weeks when I got a text from her that just said, "I found us a dog." And I was so excited. Apparently this gentleman answered her Reddit post, sent her credentials and a contract and all the things. I spoke on the phone with this guy and he sounded absolutely 100% like he knew exactly what he was doing. It never occurred to me to Google him and dig. I don't know why. I was just so excited somebody finally said yes. So I came to you guys and I gave you his quote, and within days, y'all had donated enough to bring this man out here with his dogs. The red flag started when he told me he could leave on the 15th, which was a Friday, and he ended up not coming until Sunday. I felt like that was rather unprofessional, but stuff happens. Monday morning, when we met with him, he wouldn't look me in the eye. I expected him to walk over and shake my hand and introduce himself to me, but he didn't. In the first hour or so, he barely spoke to me. He barely looked at me. It was weird. Opie was picking up on stuff too, but I just kept justifying it in my head. Maybe he's just a quirky character. Maybe there's just a lot going on there, and I didn't want to be judgmental, and I didn't want to screw up an opportunity. He had told me that he was bringing 3 dogs. When we met with him at the first location, he just had 1 dog named Freya with him. He told me that one of his dogs was too exhausted and he had to leave her home to rest, and the other one had a goiter pop up behind its leg that the dog was here and they didn't notice the goiter until they got here in town, and that he hated having to leave him, whatever, at the hotel while we were out searching. He did search. He did take this dog to a ton of locations that we asked him to take her to. He did investigate. Okay? It didn't occur to me that he was aggressively investigating without a PI's license. I didn't know what the rules were, that somebody had to have the license in order to conduct formal interviews, and I don't know how formal these interviews were. He gave me his number, told me I could put it out there for people to call. I wasn't even looking for like tips, leads, and stories. I just wanted something where whoever actually knows Layla's physical location could call it and leave the location, and we could all find her and move on from the situation. On the second day that he was here, it was incredibly cold and it was raining, and the locations that he was going to go and try and search and get permissions for are not exactly safe. So I stayed home, and he continued to conduct his investigation, and he went and searched a handful of areas and approached a couple of properties. He was in fact run off the one property, but we're not sure he was at the right one. He did send video footage and pictures of being there. On Tuesday, as we were in contact with Kirsten the medium this entire time, because she found the dog guy and she wanted to be able to guide the dog guy, and that was something that was really hard to do from California. So on Tuesday, we decided that she should come to town too. We had raised enough money to bring her out, and I paid for her ticket. And her ticket actually ended up being more because when she went to the airport, she found out that the flight was overbooked. So she put her own money in for the rest of that ticket. And then she paid for her own Uber to get here. I did not hire her. She was not paid in any way, shape, or form. She stayed here at the house with me. I fed her all week. But aside from that, she didn't earn any kind of an income coming out here. Now I'm getting off subject. So Tuesday we decide that Kirsten needs to come out to help lead the dogs. We also decide that we want to drag this lake. I start looking for boats and posting things online about trying to find a boat, because this gentleman, Andrew with the dog, said that he was able to get a drag net and all we had to get was a boat. And that was supposed to happen Wednesday morning. On Wednesday, Kirsten was traveling. Stephen Crabtree was driving from Nashville, and this Andrew with the dogs had apparently meddled with some people that are persons of interest in the investigation, and this upset law enforcement because it's kind of obstruction. So law enforcement contacted Andrew, asked him to stop talking to certain people, and I'm assuming they made some threats about his licensing. So he left after being here for 2 days when I had a contract for $5,000 for 5 days.